As part of his campaign to be Labour Party leader, Keir Starmer promised to promote peace and human rights, no more illegal wars, introduce a Prevention of Military Intervention Act and put human rights at the heart of foreign policy, review all UK arms sales and make us a force for international peace and justice. But instead of promoting peace and human rights, he's decided to promote war and genocide on an innocent population. Just like his idol Tony Blair, Starmer wants to make it clear that with him as PM, the UK will always bend the knee to Washington. And just like Tony Blair, Starmer will endlessly lie, endlessly dissemble to justify this subservience.
Constantly say to people there are no decisions that have been made in relation to Iraq at all, but there is no doubt that Iraq poses a threat in respect to weapons of mass destruction, and there is no doubt that this issue is an issue that should be dealt with.
The simple truth is, he can't call for a ceasefire in Gaza for one reason and one reason only. President Biden hasn't done it yet. So, rather than just admit this, he's once again promoting a truly despicable and dangerous fiction. I say it once again because we've seen Starmer resort to this lie before when he's in trouble. Starmer's Labour has found a culprit for losing the red wall: Muslim voters. Instead of honestly examining the problems within the Labour Party, Starmer's team is again playing the anti-Semitism card. Just over 2 years ago, you might remember, Starmer had a run of by-election results that weren't very good. And on top of that, there was a chance he was about to lose another in Batley in Spain. In a preemptive strike to explain the expected defeat, Starmer found the perfect scapegoat. It was among the most poisonous political briefings in recent times. With Labour facing defeat in next Thursday's Batley in Spain by-election, a senior official from the party turned on Muslim voters, accusing them of anti-Semitism. The briefing was deadly. We're hemorrhaging votes among Muslim voters, and the reason for that is what party leader Keir Starmer has been doing on anti-Semitism. Nobody really wants to talk about it, but that's the main factor. He challenged former leader Jeremy Corbyn on it, and there's been a backlash among certain sections of the community. When in trouble, picking a minority is a well-known political strategy. So you see, the problem was Muslims and their ingrained anti-Semitism. A barefaced lie, but false allegations of anti-Semitism have served Starmer and his crowd so well in the past. Obviously they thought, well, why not have a go at it again? And now Starmer's in trouble again, trying to justify his failure to call for an end to genocide. And who's to blame? Well, it's those pesky Muslims again, obviously, and their ingrained anti-Semitism that's the root of the problem. This lie has been trotted out in several guises over the last few days. For a start, we have what was being told to Labour MPs to persuade them not to vote for a ceasefire. Alex Nunn's on X. How Labour whips dealt with the ceasefire vote is revealing. According to an MP, quote, "Some of the things colleagues were being told yesterday were that they didn't need to vote for a ceasefire because they have 7,000 Muslim voters and could afford to lose them and still win." So clearly, wavering MPs were being told that Muslim voters would be the only ones upset if that MP failed to vote for a ceasefire. Forget all the Christians, Jews, non-believers out on the streets protesting for a ceasefire. Only the Muslim voters would care, according to Starmer. And clearly, as they've already told us, Muslim voters don't matter because they can win without Muslim voters.
It is a strength of the Labour Party that we have both traditions. We have people of Muslim faith and we have Jewish faith within our party. So we are trying, and Keir has been trying really hard to bring them together.
And here we have Labour MP Peter Kyle again spinning the lie that the basis of the party's problems lie with only Muslims objecting to Israel's genocide in Gaza. Several posters on X pointed out the dishonesty of this attempt to portray Muslims as the only ones objecting to the slaughter in Gaza. Mish Rashman on X. "This is stupidity or extremely ignorant, likely both, from Peter Kyle MP to make the divide on the vote to ceasefire or not about Muslim and Jewish MPs. People of all faiths and none have called for a ceasefire. It's a humanitarian crisis, not a Muslim or a Jewish one. Stop now. Alex Nuns on X. Peter Kyle frames the ceasefire division as a disagreement between Jewish and Muslim Labour MPs as if it's a religious conflict. There are Jewish MPs like Trickett, Hamilton and Sobel who voted for a ceasefire, and Muslim MPs like Mahmoud, Ali and Sadiq that didn't. Despite the lies from Starmer's camp about only Muslim MPs, members and voters being concerned about the genocide in Gaza, it seems they are still worried. A poll carried out by Savanta before the vote showed 64% of Muslims saying they intended to vote Labour at the next election. However, that would be well below the estimated 71% who did so in 2019. Some Labour sources believe the issue could lose the party so many votes, not only among Muslims but also among young people and urban progressives, it could cost it up to 10 seats in marginal areas. Of course, with his current substantial poll lead, it's possible Starmer may decide that 10 seats are acceptable collateral damage. He's still into government with a substantial majority, but he knows the polls could shift dramatically over the next year. And that's what explains this particularly cynical piece of advice. Alex Nuns on X. A reliable Labour source has told me certain MPs were given licence by the leadership to sound like they supported a ceasefire for social media clips and so on, provided they didn't actually vote for one. A scheme to deceive constituents on an issue of life and death. Classy. But as we know from previous statements from Starmer's gang, that Muslim voters don't matter. So presumably, these social media posts are for the benefit of the young and urban progressives, as The Guardian calls them. If Starmer really thinks the only group disgusted by his stance on Gaza are Muslims with a smattering of the young and urban progressives thrown in, he is sadly mistaken. It's everybody in this country with a modicum of humanity and compassion that is outraged by his complicity in genocide, and it's up to us to make sure he knows this at the next general election. Please support left-wing voices on social media by liking this video and subscribing to the channel.